Hey, everybody. This is Tim Shaw. And where else are you? You're at the Black Cat Lounge on a Tuesday night. Why are you here on a Tuesday night? Because you have no lives, just like me. I have no life. That's why I'm here on a Tuesday night. Chris Cheeslaw, who is in the room right now, he has no life either. So that's the way it works. Hi, Deb. How are you? Good to see you tonight. We have a great show. I am so thrilled to have this guy on. But anyway, I was talking earlier when I was in Albion, New York. Hey, Melanie. Hey, Kenneth. How you guys doing? We were in Albion, New York yesterday, and it was walk through this house, man, or this building. This building's beautiful. It's a row building, and it's like walking back into the 1800s. The only way I can describe it. It was phenomenal. It was creepy as hell, and I swear to God, you guys that listened early on, actually heard me say that I was standing there and I was looking over the owner's like shoulder, and something white just went poof, right by the doorway. I am like, I had nothing to say. I had nothing to say. I could not go, and I have nothing to say now. Seriously, it threw me so much. I just didn't expect it. I did not expect it at all. And so those are the things that really make what we do really interesting, and it's a lot of fun. Well, anyway, I want to bring on a guy that I love. I love to death. He's like my brother. I swear to God, we're talking off air, and we have actually decided. We actually dropped our trowels, and we actually showed each other on cam these scars that we have on our posterior regions. And I'm going to tell you what, it's amazing. It's amazing. I swear, we were separated at birth, and one was sent one way, and one was sent the other way, just like footballs passing in the night. I'm telling you, it's just amazing. He's a guy that I love. He is, well, you know what? Let me give him a proper introduction. You ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, now entering the Black Cat Lounge with the yellow and brown trunks from parts unknown, weight unknown, height unknown. He's beautiful. He's magnificent. He's effervescent. He's iridescent. Are you ready for him? Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Darkness Radio, the amazing Tim Dennis. How's that? Now, where else can you get an introduction like that, Tim?
Nowhere. You know why my trunks are yellow and brown? Because I just messed myself over that amazing introduction. That was great.
You know what, Tim? I had to do something special for you today. And I was sitting there thinking, what could I do that really would fit the master, the phenomenal, that the guy that knows all. He's like, when you listen to his show, you think to yourself,
well, how did this guy get a job?
Well, that, and why isn't he homeless? That's actually what you know.
Because I'm turning tricks on the weekend. That's why.
Man's got to have a hobby. So that's why you weren't at your table up at the Michigan Paragon very often. I should have known that. How you doing, Timmy? Thank you for being on tonight.
I'm doing well. We were talking. The reason why we're running a little behind is I was telling you about my recent adventures in hospitalization. But we got to do it. That's how I get my other way of spending places other than my home on the weekend. So.
You know what, Timmy, I'm just going to tell you what, we are all like that. We're all in that age bracket now where, we have to go and we have to get tinkered every so often. It's just the fact that sometimes the tinkering goes in an unusual place. And
I didn't have that part worked on.
Well, listen, I've got 8x10 glossies just in case you want to see it. I can autograph them. I'll send them your way, Tim. How's that?
Well, much like you requested, I'm not wearing pants tonight. So
I figured that. I just hope that you have a towel down there, because if you have a vinyl computer chair like I do, that's hell. That's just hell on earth to get up and try to get off of that.
That's rough scraping, that's for sure. I am thinking about writing a book, though. And my book is going to be called 101 Hospitals in Which to Eat At. because I have become a food critic of most of the hospitals throughout the U.S. So
Listen, it is kind of amazing that I know locally, my wife and I, we know. As a matter of fact, we try to go and whenever I'm having a new procedure done, we try to pick out the one that has the best food. Just, because institutional food just doesn't make it. We have to have something with a flair, something that they put a little piece of parsley on the plate for you just to make it pretty.
I'll tell you, the Fairview system here in Minneapolis, the University of Minnesota, makes an amazing omelet in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Usually my problem is when I come out of surgery, it's like, here, you got to drink all this water because you must do something in order to get out. And you're like, after the 14th cup of water and nothing is moving, you think to yourself, I'm in trouble. So, by that time you don't even want like your favorite meal. That's the way it is. That's I have to say that you just have to go and.
That's why, Tim, if you ever have to get one of those procedures where they need you to kind of move stuff through the system, you come here to the University of Minnesota, you get yourself one of them big omelets, and throw all the meat and cheese you want in it, but then extra mushrooms, my friend, extra mushrooms.
Is that the secret behind that, to get that moving? You know what? I'll tell you what the secret here is in Buffalo. We go to Zorba's, we get hot dogs with hot dog sauce, French fries with hot dog sauce. We get eggs with hot dog sauce. We get hot dog sauce with hot dog sauce, and then we take it with a straw and suck it up. And here's the thing, Tim. Here's the thing. You don't eat that. It doesn't digest. You only rent it for 22.5 minutes. And that's the time you have to leave from point A to get to point B before something explodes in your car. It's well, you know what, I have to share with the public. I have to share with everybody that my good friend here is a hero.
It only took us 8 minutes to get to this. So this.
Listen. I got questions and everything, but I'm going to tell you what. This is out of all my conference stories, out of everybody that I've met in all these conferences, you're my favorite person because you shared this experience with me, sitting next to me diligently, and. I knew I wasn't going to waste time on it. That's all I'm going to say. So let me tell you what happened. I'll set the scene.
Oh, sure. You do it your way. I'll do it my way. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll do it both ways. Okay. So we'll set the scene.
Sure.
Tim and Tim are sitting next to each other. He's in the aisle. I'm against the window. All of a sudden, we see all these parts come flying off the engine of the plane. Flying in different directions, and we take a dive. They're trying to go, and the pilot is going, I'm sorry, but we've lost the engine. And all of a sudden I went, Tim, we're going to crash. What do we do? He goes like this. Hold on, Tim. He pulls the person out of the seat by the emergency door. He says, Tim, I have some duct tape. I have screws from my glasses, and
I think I might even still have the screwdriver here. Somewhere. Oh yes, right here. This little screwdriver right here.
Right there. He's got a screwdriver, and he goes to the flight attendant. I'll take a bottle of water, please. And she brings it over. Next thing I know, he pops open the emergency hatch. I grab him. The suction is sucking him out. I got him by his belt. Needless to say, I am seeing parts of him I've never wanted to see before. And he does have a couple neat tattoos on his posterior region, just in case he gets lost. They'll send them back to wherever he is. That's his address on there. And he went and he reached out and he was able to fix the engine. And all of a sudden it started, and off we went. And we closed the door, and everyone on the plane started to say, hallelujah, hallelujah, Big Tim, hallelujah. And when we landed, not only did we land safe, but there was a congressional motorcade waiting for us, and it was all about Tim. And the president of the United States, an Air Force 107.65, a little Cessna, came into the Sault Ste. Marie Airport, because, man, that place is small, and
yeah,
and gave him a medal of freedom for saving all of us, saving everybody, because everybody who was appearing at the Paracon was on that flight. Everybody who was going to the Paracon was on that flight. It was a flight full of Paracon people and 2 people that had roosters. And Tim Dennis saved the day. And I personally will always be thankful that Tim Dennis was there, and I was able to hold on to his belt and his pants as it slowly slipped down past his posterior region and showed me things that I really can't get out of my mind.
With a tattoo, by the way, which in one direction says "wow," and if you turn me upside down, it says "mom."
It definitely said "mom" on that one, but we won't go into that.
Yeah. Not quite the way I remember it, but close. Yeah, close. Yeah. The way I seem to remember it. We had a rather cantankerous guy in front of us.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
That we were on a mission to try to make somewhat happy.
No, we weren't. Admit it, Tim. We just wanted to go and we wanted to piss this old guy off.
Piss him off. Yeah, we just wanted him to stop bitching and complaining about everything that was in front of him. So we were on a mission to try to get him to sing "It's a Small World."
Yes.
And we got him to do it. I'm surprised the people around us wanted to sing "It's a Small World" along with
us. Well, they all sang it with us. And the best part about it was we started real slow and real low. It's a small world after all. We're talking about an earwig here. It's a small world after all. And before we knew it,
actually, I think I have it on my button bar.
For you probably do.
No, it's wait a minute. It's the next bank. There it is. There it is. Yep. It's a small world. Yep.
It's a small world.
And this guy goes, I hate that song. It's a small world after all. And he starts singing along with it.
Yeah.
Right? So we were having a good time with that. Little did we know, we didn't hear over the overhead announcement.
Because we were singing so loud.
We were singing so loud that they told us we were going to die.
Yes, basically, yes.
That didn't register with us. So at that point, Tim said, wait a minute, with his eagle-like eyes and his daredevil-like hearing, because that's the only thing I can equivalent.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
He put the horn up to his ears and went, "We're gonna die, you say?" He went, we need pie? Of course we do. Pie goes with everything. He then after he got that all sorted out, went, we're gonna die. That's not pie. I'll put my order in on the next flight. Took this little screwdriver right here and said, give me that, Dennis. And then thought, okay, I'm either going to jam this in that cantankerous old man's ear, or I'm going to figure out how to fix this plane. So when he found out it was an engine that was going down, he said, well, wait a minute. I can do one of two things. I could try to fix the engine. Wait, Candace says, I hate that song since I was stuck on that right. Here, let me give you an encore, Candace. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, so he took this screwdriver right here and he said, we have two missions here, kids. We have two missions. We can either A, we can try to fly this thing in, or B, we could try to fix this engine. And I said, by God, Tim, you're a hero. Look at you, your bravery, your chest stuck out like this. I think personally he was trying to get me to motorboat him, but that wasn't the case at that point. But he said, we need to fix this here plane. And I said, yes, we do. He said, Tim, I want you to go up there and see what's going on in the cabin. So I went up to the cabin and promptly got slapped by a airline attendant. But then I looked and saw that the captain was doing everything he could to keep the plane upright. And Tim said, no, I'm, oh, Bill's having a problem with it too. Hold on. Okay. So people keep mentioning the song. I'm going to keep playing it. So that kind of a-hole. So here's the deal. So with the grace of God, this screwdriver and these two fingers, out goes Tim to the wing of the plane and goes like this. I don't know what he was doing, but he was doing this and managed to get the flaming engine to stop flaming. Then he said, hey, one-legged guy in there sitting in the seat next to me, throw me that scooter thing that that'd be me. Throw me that scooter thing that you ride around on all the time. I said, hey, I can do that. I mean, I'm not using it right now. I'm sitting in a seat. I throw him the scooter thing and he ties it to the what you call it, landing gear. Because that wouldn't come down either. Right. And he says, by God, we're going to land this plane. Then he runs in, he grabs the captain by the scruff of his neck and says, get out of here, buddy. And takes and turns that plane around and brings us back to Detroit. And as God is my witness, an eagle landed on his shoulder and I could hear the national anthem as we pulled back into Detroit. And as we pulled back into Detroit, I could hear a standing ovation from firemen, from rescue squads, from police saying, you can do it. Yes, you can. You can. If you can't do it, no one can. Tim Shaw, you've saved an entire plane full of people.
Well, you know what?
That's how it went down.
Well, here's what happened. Let me share it with you. Now, this is how plane rides to conferences go, because you live in terminals. You really do. You always live in terminals. You always, you're eating in terminals. You're always meeting up in terminals. So everybody, when you go to a big venue like that has one little airport, you're on a small plane. Well, we got this guy in front of us that was cantankerous, and he was
That's the only true part of the story.
This is the only true part of the story, yeah. But I mean, he was really cantankerous, and he was just like, I'm looking at Timmy going, do you believe what this guy's saying?
Oh,
I mean, he had some racist remarks, and I mean, it was like he's trying to talk to the guy like across the aisle. The guy's got the newspaper up like this, trying to like block his view from him, and he just kept going on and on and on.
He was trying to read a business section, like he was trying to figure out his stocks, and this guy was asking if he had the sports section. And the sports section. You never read it. And the guy's like, I'm busy.
Yeah. But it got to the point where Timmy and I we kind of lost our mind. Now, mind you, we are somewhere over Lake Superior, and we are just like looking at each other, and we're laughing. I mean, every so often we're like just looking, like it was just so incredible. The stuff that came out of this guy's mouth was incredible. And so we started singing It's a Small World After All. And then people around us started singing, and it got louder and louder and louder. Meanwhile, there must have been like some kind of announcement.
The engine did fail. We're not lying about that.
No, this is the truth. And we're like, we missed it. So Timmy and I were just da-da-da-da-da-da, and everybody else got kind of quiet. But Timmy and I we're just going, and we're laughing, and we're having a good time. We land, right? We both get off the airplane, look at each other, and go, this ain't Sault Ste. Marie. We had to turn back because of engine failure. We had to turn back to Detroit. We had no clue, not a clue. That's the honest to God truth. And from there, the story
got yelled at by a couple of our friends. They said, no, you idiots, we're in Detroit. We had engine failure. And we're like, oh, we didn't hear the announcement.
Really? We're honest to God. We not a clue. And from then on in, Delta has now they have like our pictures like side by each. And they go, do not let these two guys sit next to each other ever, ever, ever. As a matter of fact, at the conference, they separate us in separate rooms. They won't let us even be in the same room again.
We're never together in a vendor room or anything like that. You know what's funny though, Tim, is I told you on the way to the Sioux this year, again, I'm on another plane with engine failure.
Really? Oh, I didn't know about you had.
I had to tell you real quick because we were in passing in the hallways. I said they did it to me again, Tim. Another plane with engine failure, and you went. And then as we're walking like past each other.
Yeah,
and
I remember we saw each other as we were.
Yeah. So I had another plane that had yet another engine that was failing, but they claim they fixed it on the runway. I think they just. But as they fired up the engine, you could hear this hollow scream, and it went on all the way to the Sioux. And it was, boy, you want to talk about scary. That was.
Yeah, that you know what? Everybody's talking about like ghosts and stuff. You and I are way too young to be crashing into this Lake Superior or into the forest line up there in the UP. Because,
I find a real good solution to that is just put the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald on your headphones for 2.5 hours as you're heading for the Sioux. Yeah,
Tim, I got nothing on that one.
Yeah. Just makes it a more pleasant ride.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It kind of makes the inevitable, just kind of palatable. You know what I mean? Oh my God.
Although if you can get a cantankerous old guy to sing the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald with you, it makes it a lot more pleasant when you go down.
Well, you're right. You're right. My grandkids love that song. I hate it. I always remember him saying that. And then he's singing with us. That was the best part. Oh, well, that's it. Timmy, let's get serious here. You know what? I've known you for a while. I've seen you in action. I've seen you speak, which is like amazing. You're probably one of the most underrated speakers that I've ever seen when it comes to a paranormal or metaphysical conference. Mm-hmm. Seriously, your grasp of conspiracy theories and everything is great. When I listen to your radio show, you can like plug in anywhere, which is like, to me, is amazing. Let me ask you this. How much prep time do you do before each show? With me, I'm pretty anal about it because of the fact that I want to make sure that my guest feels that he's respected, that I do know the subject matter. But, people don't realize that, a guy like me has to really prep for it. What about you?
About 5 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, you so suck.
As I get older, I tend to subscribe a lot to Ian Punnett's theory of preparing, especially with my true crime guests. I had somebody recently say to me, "Well, do you really read each guest's book cover to cover?" Yeah, I do. I read it cover to cover, and then I actually, a lot of them are sending it on PDF now, which it's harder to flag different passages. But
I have the same problem.
You can mark, through PDF where you want different passages you want to cite.
Or or Tim, if you're old like me, you actually go and take one of these and one of these and handwrite it out, because to go and mark something and then for me to go back and find it in a PDF is like almost impossible.
They have this wonderful program where you just highlight it and save it.
Newfangled bullshit stuff. What? I can't do that. What's wrong with you, Timmy?
I had my nephew show me.
There you go. Yeah. And he's 7. That's what hurt.
Exactly. Yeah. He said, "You're so stupid." But I prep. I don't want to say I prep the hardest for true crime because I don't think that that's necessarily true. I tend to prep I'll say I tend to prep the hardest for paranormal guests who have newer theories. There's a demonologist that was just on last Thursday by the name of Nathaniel Gillis.
Yes.
And he's got some controversial outlooks. He was a tougher one to prep for, because I'll tell you, there's not a lot of people that I would think would respect his outlook, but I do. And I do because of the way he attacks things. He is
Right.
brash. He's brash.
Yeah.
Maybe to the
Which
point
which
of
which you have to be
right.
in his particular case. Uh, I mean, he has to come off with that whole air and confidence and everything about him in order to be taken seriously, because
Mhm.
his theories are kind of controversial. I'll just
Very,
say controversial to, because
very.
I know some of the old timers were just like, no, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah. But you know what? When you get down to it, when you get past the brashness, you could say maybe a little overconfident, and almost
Yeah.
to the point of sacrilege to some who deal in the religious side of things.
Yes. Yes. Big time.
Um,
Big time.
when you get past that, and that's not a slam on Nathaniel at all. It's just where certain demonologists would sit. When you get past that and you get to the end part of his theory, when you get down to the meat and potatoes, it's this: his research really does bite you where you live,
Yes.
and his theory is very sound.
Do you find that we're not getting enough of that? These new theories, uh everybody is just spouting off the same theories that we first went and we learned, let's say 20, 25 years ago. Not much has changed when it comes to theoretical thinking and different modalities and different methodologies. Do you
Yeah.
think that we're falling way behind the communities? And I'm not gonna just say like paranormal and UFO and all that. Do you think that everything, all of what we do, as if we gestalted the problem, if we gestalted the picture, that we're kind of really people are just kind of like sitting and relying on their laurels rather than going and doing some critical thinking and really trying to push the envelope?
I think there is. There's a lot of cut and paste as far as theory is. And I think there's a lot of ridicule where there shouldn't be ridicule. And I think a lot of that comes from not just ridicule from within the community, but ridicule from the people who are listening to the shows.
I
Um,
agree.
you get people who are quick to judge rather than opening an ear and going, okay, well, it doesn't fit what my modality is, but I'll take a listen. And what I hope to do with this version of Darkness Radio is to get people to kind of open an ear and say, well, you know what, maybe, what Kenneth just came up with a great point, and that is not enough new
Yeah,
research is being done.
I agree.
That's the other part of it too. But the other part of that, Kenneth, is that the reason why not enough new research is being done is there's not enough, and I'll get to this point here in just a moment. Not enough new research is being done because not enough new money is being thrown into the field, but that's changing. And that excuse can't be used anymore. It just can't.
Agreed. Agreed. Because I remember, I mean, I've seen so much of this, and I grew up through that whole new age and the whole thing where money and funding was actually being brought in to the universities, and
Mhm,
people were, just being so critical,
mhm,
and really it was an exciting time. But then, let's face it, the Vietnam War ended, all this stuff ended, the Cold War ended. Now this money wasn't, what we were doing wasn't so critical anymore. So now they defunded everything, and everything went into the arts and all the other things.
right.
So, but I see slowly, I'm starting to see more, more foundations actually funneling that money back into individual pockets of people who are out there thinking. And now, but it's, if you notice, it's not under, let's say, metaphysical or whatever. Now it's under the whole the auspices of mental conditioning and looking to go and see if there is something, that maybe this challenge is causing X, Y, and Z, rather than using it as overtly as
Mhm,
we did before.
mhm. I'll tell you this much. There was a story a few weeks ago that Robert Bigelow put out, he's putting out $1 million. It said $1 million. There's up to $1 million in a grant for someone who can scientifically make proof or come up with proof that there's life after death. Okay. And this isn't just, Tim Shaw coming up to Robert Bigelow and saying, here's my pitch, here's my business plan. I think that scientifically I can prove it because I have X, Y, and Z equipment.
Right.
And I'm going to fire it up and make it work. It's not that. It's actual scientists who can recreate this in a lab setting repeatedly over and over and over again. So yeah, it's real life flatliners is what it is. So to say that the money isn't there is throw it out. There's that
Agreed.
research being done, and more of it is coming. More money is coming. More research is coming. It's just that it's not being put out in the news. You're not getting that news thrown in your face. You talk about what NASA just did this past week with firing an unmanned spaceship at an asteroid to see if we can
to do it. Yeah, I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed.
So there's different things being done, not necessarily paranormally, but in that vein, in research that we've never thought of before, in scopes that we've never thought of before. As far as AI goes, as far as spirits go, as far as even you look at ranches like the Skinwalker Ranch, there's been more research done on the Skinwalker Ranch in the last 3 years than was previously attempted in the last 20. And not just by the guys on the TV show. We're talking.
We're talking other groups. We're talking hardcore. Yeah. We're not talking commercially sponsored.
Right.
And that is, to me, that is showing, or should be showing us, that there is something out there that is serious, that's being taken seriously. However, unfortunately, it's being overshadowed by our social how can I say, political. I don't want to be insulting. I'm just going to say the social atmosphere that we're looking at now, and and the chaos and that the entire toilet bowl that we see every day on the news, and I think that's what's hiding it.
Yeah. That's part of it. The other part of it too, I think, is it slowly gets introduced. But you have to ask yourself why. You get the introduction of soft disclosure, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
You get the videos, the little morsel of videos that are introduced to the American public, but then you have the Navy that comes out a month or two ago and says, we're not releasing any more videos. You're not getting any more of the videos because of not safety, but top secret concerns that we have having to do with technology concerns, having to do with us and having to do with other countries. We don't want other countries to get a hold of potentially what we have for technology. We don't want those countries to know that we know about their technology. And some of these videos have both in them.
Yes.
So yeah, you're not getting any more UAP videos. It's not going to happen, which, it could be national security concerns. It could be just that they've got some really juicy stuff sitting under their roof and they just don't want us to know about it.
I think a lot of it is, and you know what? Years ago, I used to be one of those guys that was like, they're hiding everything because it's like, this alien tech and all this stuff. But now I think you've hit a really great point where it's like, well, we've come to this point and this is what we're using, but we can't afford to let anybody know that we're doing this. And to me, it's more of a mundane reason, but to me, it makes more sense. And that may be because I'm older, and I won't say wiser, because I'm, one step away from insanity. You're 3 steps away. So, you're catching up slowly.
I am.
But seriously, think about it, because now we're, we always let's just look at the Ukraine real quickly.
Okay. Yep. Good example.
Let's just go real quickly. Yep. For years, we were afraid of what the Soviet Union had for ground equipment, their forces, their technology, and everything when it came to a ground warfare.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed.
I wouldn't be either.
So let's talk. Let's think about that. So we don't want our adversaries to understand what we have, and by putting all this video footage out, we're showing it, or we're showing the thought process, or even just introducing the thought into the general populace. And we have to watch that. And I have to agree. The only thing that really sucks is the fact that, I would just love one day to really know that what we're getting is the truth. I would really love that. And just to be able to go and see it. And I would love to have definite presidential access. But I don't think we'll ever I don't think we'll see that in our lifetime, Timmy.
Probably not in your lifetime or my lifetime, but it might happen in someone who's between 20 and 30. They may see it in their lifetime.
Maybe, yeah.
You bring up an interesting point that I kind of wanted to refute just a little bit. You say you're not impressed with what Russia has on the ground right now. Not with what they have on the ground right now, but you look at, and again, I know not necessarily a political show you're running here, but you look at what's happened in the last few days in Russia. Okay. They've, Putin has said, we want 300,000 more troops, and we're going to take them from wherever we can get them in our country.
Right.
So you have kids now who are fighting this draft, that he's randomly just taking people off the street and saying,
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming. You're coming to fight in Ukraine, and they're fighting tooth and nail not to go. Now, you could say it's because they don't want to be led like lambs to a slaughter, that they know that Ukraine's got the backing of the U.S. and U.S. guns and U.S. Ammunition, and that they're going up against an enemy that's willing to fight them tooth and nail to maintain their freedom. Or you could also say, well, maybe it's because they don't want to go over there because Putin's threatened with nuclear weapons against Ukraine.
Yes.
So Are you just putting me in the middle of a war zone just to die by a nuclear weapon? Or worse, maybe, and let's think about this for a minute, maybe Putin really hasn't shown his full might to Ukraine yet.
True.
He went in with a first wave, just a first wave, which is we're just going to roll in with a casual first wave of conventional warfare because we think we can just roll over these guys. We're just going to go in with what we technically have. We're going to roll over the Ukrainians. We're going to take back what we believe is ours. And if they don't fall by conventional means, we'll then show them what we really have. Why would you show the rest of the world, the United Nations, the United States, and everybody else what you've got in your arsenal when you can just walk in by conventional means and take what you believe is yours?
It's true.
Would you show me the latest aircraft you have? Would you show me the latest tech you have on Ukraine? I wouldn't do it because you've got bigger neighbors that are going to take you on if you do take over Ukraine. And that's who you're going to unveil your big tech to. Not to
You're
Ukraine.
right. You're right.
Not to Ukraine.
This is a situation where we are in in flux right now. The world is in flux. Everyone is worried. And you brought up a good point about the common man being drafted and being impressed into the Soviet army.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I look at it as is they're trying to go and they're going to try to overwhelm by mass. Mm-hmm. And we know that doesn't happen. That doesn't work because of the fact that the people that you have, the more that they become impressed, the more they're not, it's almost like they're not like mercenaries where they're going to go and they're going to get X amount of big bucks. These are just regular people who may have been in the reserves or just are brought up because of the fact that they need bodies. Mm-hmm. These are going to be quick boot camp type people. They're going to put them in, and will they fight? Well, they'll fight to survive, but will they try to go and really be effective against hardened fighters fighting for a homeland? Whereas we're going to look at another Vietnam, basically, is what's going to happen. where you're going to have just, we're going to have that pullout, and people are going to be very, very, very just disheartened being on those front lines. And I think you're going to start seeing more and more officers being fragged in the Russian ranks. And you're going to see, and I just read about this the other day, they're afraid of having a revolution because traditionally Russia is constantly having revolutions. This is not going to be their first rodeo.
Right.
They may overthrow. So we don't know. The only and then we're starting to look at all the oligarchs that have mysteriously fallen off buildings or committed suicide. So we have a lot of these. We have a lot of these questions. That are they going to go and support? Are they going to go and fight as hard as they could? So we don't know. I mean, this is good. This is going to be a very interesting part of our lives that we're going to live through. And the whole idea of the nuclear arsenal, and I don't care what anybody says about the ground troops, their nuclear arsenal is deadly. We've known that, and we know NATO has said that time and time again. And we do know that they have intercontinental missiles that can hit the US and in just about any point on the globe. So these are things that have to be looked at seriously, and people are not getting it. And again, we're talking about like different technologies. You're right. We don't want to show the hand. We're afraid to show the hand. I know that the US doesn't show the hand all the time.
Oh, no.
And and we're probably more heavily censored than most countries are, which is like, I found that like just so interesting when I read about that, how censored we can be. And I got into it because of the UFO thing, and I won't lie about it. But the more I started looking into it, the more I started realizing that our everyday news is being censored to a high degree. And all you have to do is look at any White House briefing. You get a reporter that goes out there and asks the hard question, their credentials are immediately revoked. Boom, you're out, no matter what.
Well, I think, and again, there's two reasons for that. One could be, again, you're playing the political game. The other could be the reason for, and I'll be honest with you, Tim, having worked in media for over 30 years, it's pretty hard to get your credentials taken away from you, revoked. The only way a White House correspondent gets their credentials revoked, and it really hasn't happened up until the last 12 to 16 years. And it's more of a political shell game now than ever before.
It is. That's the shame of it, though.
If it was a physical confrontation, happened on White House grounds, that's when you would get your credentials revoked. But it never had anything to do with a story or anything written. There was never anything written that got credentials revoked. Never. I mean, even back to the times of Nixon and Watergate, no one ever got their credentials revoked. When you looked at the Clinton administration, things that were written about Bill Clinton, there were never credentials revoked.
No, you're right about that. Correct.
So things have been written derogatory about presidents throughout time. Never has a credential been revoked. It was not until recently. So
that's what I was referencing was some recent events. But
see, here's the thing. Now, getting kind of back to the subject at hand, as far as technology out there and why you won't see videos out there, and kind of bringing it back to the subject, and more sticking to what you might see when it comes to these different videos. There are different ways for countries like Russia, Cuba, other countries that are under, or even China. I did a program on this, Havana syndrome.
Yes.
Havana syndrome is a very easy way to get.
By the way, it was a great eye-opening program.
Oh, thank you.
Really, it was, because that's something, because I knew I have relatives that worked with the State Department, and they were in Moscow and they were in different places. And, I'll just say that they were in some really tough places. And this was a real concern for them.
Yeah. And it should be. It should be. There's a story that actually came out. I was pulling it up while we were talking, that Dr. Paul Andrews, who was among the first CIA investigators that was sent to Cuba, actually contracted Havana syndrome within the last week or two. And mind you, it's not an airborne disease. Someone has to inflict it upon you.
Right.
But ironic that the guy who, I shouldn't say originated it, he didn't originate it, but he was involved in it.
Right.
Now is suffering from it. So he's been targeted. It's more than just the big weapons that we have to look after. It's the smaller stuff we have to look after too. They say the Third World War won't come with a bang from a nuclear weapon. It will come through cyber terrorism.
Right.
That will have major systems shut down. You won't be able to access water. You won't be able to access, your phone. Your phone won't work anymore. Your computer systems, your internet won't work anymore. The Third World War won't be fought on a battlefield. It'll be fought through cyber terrorism. Your monetary systems will be screwed up. You won't be able to access your money in your bank. Your financial information, let's face it, has probably been compromised 10 times over before you even know.
Exactly. Yes.
So the fact of the matter remains is that it's hackers in Russia that have already got your stuff. And that's one of the threats. It's hackers in China that have your stuff. That's where your threats are. The US government is concerned about major technology and major weapons, and the Department of Defense is worried about major weapons. They're not necessarily worried about hackers because that's a different department.
Right.
And they've got those worries, and they've got those worries under control. So when the Department of Defense says, okay, we need to zero in on something, it's going to be these high-powered, high-powered technologically stealth planes and other things, bombers, weapons, things that emit microwaves, things that emulate Havana syndrome, things that can destroy you from within without you even seeing it, that are on these videos potentially, that they don't want you to see, that they know already exist, that they probably emulated the technology already that we're already sitting on, that they don't want to get out in a video that you've probably seen flying around in the skies.
Probably. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And you know what, Tim, let me ask you this. What can the common person do to really handle this information that's coming in? Because a lot of us, again, our only outlet to news is what they're showing us on TV or what we're maybe reading a little bit on the internet. Is there how can we handle with what's coming in, what we're being inundated with? And the second part of that question is, where can we find at least some kind of positive, I won't even say positive, honest reporting? Is there a channel for that outside of Darkness Radio with Tim Dennis, who is my forever hero?
So I sometimes get flack from some people who say, "Oh, there's no such thing as honest media anymore. There's no such thing as honest mainstream media anymore." That's not true. And here's why. And this is what irks me as someone who went to school for journalism, who knows proper journalism, who knows that you go to 3 independent sources, you verify those sources, you do the work. The thing that upsets me, and if I can get on my soapbox for 2 seconds.
Get on it, baby. I'll hold you up.
And that's this. people say, well, journalism's sloppy, and they do that because they're money hungry and they have agendas and they all report to one party or the other. No, they don't. Here's why journalism got sloppy. Journalism got sloppy. I'm about to cut my heel promo here. I've got my belts behind me. Are you ready for this? Journalism got sloppy because of you people. That's why. They got sloppy because you people wanted news right away. They got sloppy because you people wanted to know what you wanted to know when you wanted to know it. And you needed to know it right away. You didn't want a reporter to go get verification on sources.
Amen.
You didn't want a reporter to be careful with the information. You didn't want them to get accurate information. You wanted your information yesterday.
Yes.
And so you know what happened? Some sales guy, not a journalist, but a sales guy said, we got to get this right now. And you know what happened? Programs like A Current Affair back in the day happened. And junk programs like Hard Copy happened. And you guys ate that shit up. And you gave them money. You just gave them advertisers, gave them money. And you loved it. Oh, we don't care if it's true or not. It just tickles our funny bone. So you know what happened? Hard Copy and A Current Affair, those producers went over to channels like CNN and Fox. And they got legitimate news jobs.
Yes, they did. Oh my God, Timmy, you were hitting it right on. You got the nail right on the head on that one. Yeah.
And now you complain because, well, that station leans left and that station leans right. Well, I don't know who to believe anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you know who caused it? You did.
People don't get it. People don't get the fact that everybody needs, they don't want, they need everything right here, right now. They want it now. There's no such thing as patience. There's no such thing as research. There's and this goes to, even if we go throw it back into the paranormal, ufology, the whole thing. There's none of that anymore.
And then
pick up a book, and Timmy, you'll hear me out.
Yep.
Pick up any book on the subject and look at the bibliography.
Yep.
Look at the bibliography.
Yep.
Page and a half of a bibliography for a book that's supposed to be a landmark. I did a regional book and I have over 8 pages of bibliography. Yeah. And it's like, you have to sit down and do that. People are not getting it. People are looking for the easy way out. People are like, I want to slam this done and I want to go on to the next topic. I don't want to sit here and I don't want to put the time and effort in. And that's the shame of everything that is going on. That's the shame of our media and those who suck this media, that like Pablum, they allow this.
And then it gets to, I only want to hear my own opinion talk back
anyway.
To me.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Why?
So all you do is you go on TikTok. You block everybody from one party or the other. You only listen to radio shows and TV shows that are your pro. You have nothing to challenge. You go and are not exposed to anything to challenge your brain in order to think. The only way that we learn is to be challenged. The only way we're challenged is when something comes up against us that we may not agree with.
That's right. So I listen to it all.
I do too.
I listen to every single viewpoint. And I weigh it against what is there. But you know what? You're going to give me a viewpoint. You better give me 3 independent sources.
I agree.
That line up with that. And you better be able to cite those 3 sources.
Well, here's the first source. Tim Dennis is excellent.
Oh, come on.
Second source.
Don't pump me full of sunshine.
But I think Tim Dennis is the greatest person in the world.
No, come on.
And number 3, Tim Dennis is the best guy to fly with anywhere, hands down. There's your 3 sources right there. But no, you've hit the nail on the head, because this is something that I've been really, in what I do every day, I'm so tired of people coming up and quoting me some bullshit that was made up by somebody else who said it was true. Yeah. And there's no research, there's no active anything. People are not taking that time to go and push the limits of themselves. And you know what kills me is, like, you don't have to be like a scientist. You can be an everyday Joe like you and me, and all you have to do is sit down, read something, think about it, analyze it a little bit, and see if it resonates with you. If it does, fine. If it doesn't, fine. But keep looking about it. Keep researching it. Keep, like you said, try to find those 3 sources. You've got to be able to start to think. If you don't think, and you're not using, and I don't even want to use the word common sense, the title common sense. I want to be able to go and just, if you don't do that, now we become something like, hey, well, we become a society where we're going to be burning books. Look at all the banned books they have now as it is.
Yeah.
We're going to be burning books. This way we can go and we can be pablum fed by a government and just be the silent masses in which we're going to be eating Soylent Green cakes. So, this is what kills me. And this is what upsets me about everything that is going on in our lifetime. And Timmy, you know as well as I do. I mean, I lived through Watergate and Nixon and all that other stuff. And you're right. You've hit it directly right on the head. We're not critical of anything that comes through. We don't think.
Well, that's okay. And
we're reactionary is what we are. We're reactionary. You get somebody on TV that says something, we get pissed off, and next thing you know, we're throwing rocks through their window. That's right. That's what we are now.
Well, and we've become too fast to want to criticize our friends and neighbors and want to get them for their political opinion, and we're too slow to want to criticize the people who are in office.
You're right.
And it should be the other way around.
Right. I agree 100%.
And we're crucifying the wrong people. Is what it comes down to.
Well, yeah,
your neighbor.
You are. You are.
And likewise, we should stop yelling at each other and questioning each other's character, because let's remember, we're all Americans. We're all in the same boat. We're all here to basically, roll that boat of democracy forward and keep this experiment going. That's what the forefathers wanted. But at the same time, we're also in this boat together to make sure that the rotten seeds don't make the whole apple rot.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're all here for too. I like to think that we all still have common sense.
I have, you know what, Timmy, I do have a problem because, the whole phrase common sense is a conceptual one.
It is, but but hear me out here. I mean, we say that, and we like to think that common sense isn't dead. But think of this, Tim. You say, well, I drive in traffic and I think common sense is dead. That's one way of looking at it. But then when you walk around your neighborhood and you see your neighbors, you see your friends, and you see little kids out playing, and then you talk to different people and you go, you know what? These are good people. These are really
basically yes.
Yeah.
Basically yes.
And you run into a doctor who manages to save your life and doesn't know you from Adam, but knows completely what's going on with you. Or you meet an accountant who goes, oh yeah, I know your situation completely, and figures out your situation without even knowing you. Or maybe it's the person at the store who just goes, you know what? I know exactly what you're going through, and has that moment for you and figures you out without even knowing you. The fact of the matter is, Tim, is there's a lot of good people out there.
I agree.
A lot of good people.
I agree.
And common sense isn't dead. It just isn't.
I think, but again, I think my biggest problem is that we bandy the term common sense, but common sense is actually a mirror reflection of our accumulated knowledge and how we've been indoctrinated since a kid. That's where a lot of that comes in. And I mean, I know I've seen the prejudice against what I do. I see a lot of it. I worked with a guy that basically said to me, if he could go and kill me and then be forgiven for it, he would consider it. If let's say his religious belief said that. And I mean, this is something that is, like, again, it's a reflection of it. And I think that what we need is to be able to go and force ourselves to look at all sides of everyone, of every situation that's going on, rather than just going and relying on what we have always accepted as truth.
But are you mistaking common sense for ignorance?
Well, sometimes common sense and ignorance can be on the same level. They
Uh,
really can be. For I've again through my own personal experiences. Yeah, it sometimes they can be, because what would be common sense to you may not be common sense to me, and it's not ignorance if it's something that they've been led to believe is truth. So where do we stand on that line? It's it's a razor's edge, isn't it?
I'll tell you what the difference is. With
Oh,
ignorance,
excellent.
someone who's ignorant can be brought to the truth. It's just a matter of foresight, or not foresight. It's a matter of being shown the light. Okay. So anybody can be brought out of ignorance to the light to be seen the truth. Okay. Anybody can. And I've seen it done time and time again. I've seen people, cultural knowledge. That's good, Kenneth. That's good. I like that. Exactly. Cultural knowledge. I've seen people who have been lifelong racists who have turned it around, who have said, you know what? That person has a lot of the same things, a lot of the same backgrounds I have. I don't know why I hate this person. And have totally turned it around. Okay. Ignorance is not the same as common sense. Okay. If you and I are standing there and I tell you, okay, we got to drive a nail in that wall, and I put my hand up to the nail like this, and I put my thumb on the head of the nail, and you tell me, now, wait a minute, before you swing that hammer, what are you going to do? I should probably take my thumb off that nail head, right? That's common sense. Ignorance is if I just go, That's ignorance.
Truth. I can't debate you on that one. I can't debate you on that one. Really, you know what? You're right. I have to say that I'm looking at it. I look at it. I can see exactly your point of what it is between the two. And I know for myself, again, ignorance can be, you're right. Ignorance can be changed in an individual, as long as that individual wants it to be changed, or the situation of that individual can be, the atmosphere around that person, mentally, physically, emotionally, can be changed, and they can be put into a different sphere. The problem I have is, like, a lot of times in prison, you have people that have gotten religion in prison, and there is no really proper safety net for when they come back out. And
no,
they kind of fall back into some bad things, but not all. I mean, that's the other thing. Not all. The problem comes in is that again, they're not taught not to take the easy route.
Right. Well, now you're talking to a guy whose stepdad was used to run with some pretty tough characters in Harlem, and managed to turn his life around. So you can be stubbornly ignorant and yet still turn your life around too.
Truth. Yeah. Truth.
But he leaned on a system that he leaned on because he thought he had to survive. And then when not given any other options, but you clean it up and you move out of New York City, or else you're done. He cleaned it up and moved out of New York City. See, sometimes
he did what he had to do in order to go and survive and use common sense in order to better himself.
Well, and that's the thing. He didn't really have a choice, but he took what he had to do to survive. And then after surviving went, hey, wait a minute, there's a whole new world here. And you know what? I don't have to be the same person I was. I can invent a whole new me that's closer to me. I think that's where we become sometimes a victim of our own circumstance, and sometimes we become a little bit of a victim of our environment. We think there's no other way to be but the way our environment dictates to us.
Right. Nature, nurture. Except in an older, nurture. Yeah.
And then there's the courage to be different than what our environment is.
Yes.
Peer pressure. There's a lot to be said about peer pressure. And if we get away from being different than our peer pressure, because society tells us, why are you being like that? Perfect example. If someone is an artist, if someone is a little bit avant-garde, if someone is a little bit out there, they're chastised. They're always chastised. You're different.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But if we nurture that person and tell them, you know what, go ahead and be different. You be you. Get your freak on. Do whatever you want to do. then if that person is nurtured, they see their full potential quicker than if they continue to be suppressed.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Speaking about being suppressed, we're running out of time.
I'm sorry.
And no, I don't want to keep you all night because I could talk to you all night. That's how much I love you, man.
I've got time, but I know it's your deals in your time frame. So,
well, anyway, listen, tell everybody about Darkness Radio and how everyone can get a hold of you and just be amazed, like I am, to talk to the dean, to the true dean of. But I'm sorry, but I can't keep my earphones in, my earplugs, my buds, because my brain is starting to ooze out after this great, wonderful conversation we had today. This was great. Seriously, I'm going to tell you something, Tim. I haven't had a deep conversation like this in a long time. I was like craving this. Thank you so much. But tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
I think this is the most serious I've been in months. Probably not the most. You probably won't get stuff this serious on Darkness Radio. In order to get a hold of me, you can email me, tim@darknessradio.com. Easiest way to find the show is anywhere where you subscribe to podcasts. The Apple Store, iOS Store, Google Play Store. If you listen to your podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or the iHeart, where that iHeart place where I used to work, Stitcher, where I used to work. I used to work at a bunch of places. Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcast, you name it, we're there. You can get your podcast there. If you're on Apple, by the way, or if you're on iOS, we do have a Darkness Radio app on iOS. You can get the brand new Darkness Radio app on iOS. It's been reconfigured there. Two websites I'll mention to you real quick: darknessradioshow.com and officialtruecrimetuesday.com. You can get the archives of True Crime Tuesday at officialtruecrimetuesday.com. They're absolutely free. And if you go to darknessradioshow.com, you can get all the shows from now until way back when, back in 2006, of Darkness Radio on darknessradioshow.com. Let's see what else. All the if you go to darknessradioshow.com, all the links are there to catch up with us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on the Instagram. We are on Twitter. I think I'm signed up somewhere on Poshmark, probably to sell you some stuff. I think I got a pair of heels somewhere in my closet I could probably sell you. I'm not sure. I don't know. We're everywhere. Yeah.
Timmy, I got a question that just came in. I want to, it's a friend of mine, and he's really he's a good kid, and he's in college, and what he wants to know from you, and he's a paranormal guy.
Yep.
Who would you say impresses you the most? I don't want to break in, but I want to make sure that I get his question. He just emailed me.
Not a problem. Who impresses me the most? As far as who carries the most weight, the most air, the most legacy?
I would say the person who is most innovative and maybe one of the most up and coming people.
Gosh.
That's a hard one. I know I would have trouble trying to figure that one out myself.
As far as air, legacy, weight, an OG, I'll give you John Zaffis.
Johnny, yeah.
He's the man. He just is the man. As far as up and coming, do you know who a lot of people may kind of roll their eyes, but do you know who impresses me? Who's an impressive young man who has passion, who nonstop motor, who I'm going to use football terms here, nonstop motor, passion, always wanting to learn, always wanting to know new stuff. And I think doesn't get enough credit for his thirst for knowledge in the field.
Who?
Dakota Layden.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
You know what? He's really an unsung hero. He is someone that I think he gets forgotten and mixed in the pack.
Yep.
Because of the fact of what he does, and but I think I've talked to him and on a couple of occasions, and he's right up there. He knows he he's sharp. He knows his background. He knows a lot more than what he shows, to the public.
His show is too limiting.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
It was way too limiting.
And I think that's what most of the shows are. That's the problem. I think that a lot of them are just way too limiting. Nobody gets a chance to really show it. The other one, I'm going to give props to somebody that I worked with, Jack Osborne. I'm going to give props to him.
Yes, that would be my second one. Jack Osborne. If people don't realize, because they think, okay, it comes from an entertainment background. They don't realize
he does.
He does.
Yeah.
But they don't realize how much talent it takes to not only get up to speed that quickly in a field that you didn't grow up in or you aren't immediately ingratiated into.
Right.
And then not only that, but carry multiple shows.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I'm talking about having the actual knowledge to go in and do these things, investigate, have knowledge of different cases. This isn't something that Jack just jumped into. And then in year one, it was like somebody handed him a bunch of scripts and said, "Oh, read off this, Jack, and you'll be fine." You could tell he's had a passion for this for a long time.
He, I mean, I filmed with him 3 times, and each time he impressed me more and more.
Yeah.
We would be talking, and he had some definite knowledge behind him. And you could tell, and as well as I do, TV's TV, reality TV is reality TV. But you could tell how limited he was and how he had to go and fit some things in.
Yeah.
He didn't like the way they fit. So yeah, right. I agree. Dakota's great too. And I mean, I wish somehow they could go and they could just open themselves up a little bit more without having to go on a commercial format in order to go and be, get viewership or get sponsorships or whatever. I would love to have either one of them to be able to get out there and do it. And just really do it.
I'd love to see Dakota do it. I know there's contracts involved and there's obligations involved, but if Dakota could get free to do, even if it was just him and Tanner and maybe his sister, to get free and do something completely different than Destination Fear, something that's outside the box, that's a passion project, even if it were just a documentary. I think to get himself out of that mold and do something completely different that would shock people, I think it would really change things for him and get people seeing them in a different light.
Yourself would protect production companies are like, they're looking at a tried and true format, and they don't want to deviate from it, at least for the first 4 seasons.
Right.
And, and then it's like, well, we're dipping a little bit, so let's see what we can do. But now, okay, I'm going to let you go because I just,
All right.
Just because you know why? Because listen, I know it's milk and cookies time by you. So
is it? Is it really?
Yeah, it's gotta be milk and cookies time.
7:20.
Timmy, thank you, Timmy. Stay on so I can thank you properly off the air. But thank you so much. This is a true honor. You don't know how. I'm going to be honest with you. I am just when I walked up to you at Sault Ste. Marie and said, Would you consider coming on my show? And you looked at me, go, well, yeah, and I was just like shocked. I thought I was going to get like let me check my schedule, which means I'll never see you ever again. And it was just what an honor it is to have someone like you, just so I could pick your brain. And I want to let everybody know that this is the guy that I learned so much from. I love his show. I love how he works. And he is, and I'm going to come right out and tell you, he's even nicer in person than he is on the air. And that's hard. That's hard to believe, because usually I come up and I'm like ripping into him and like, he's like, yeah, whatever, you bald bastard,
No, I don't see that. I find
you've never said that. But in real life, seriously, he's just a wonderful person. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being on tonight.
Well, thank you for asking me. I had fun. And again, anytime you want me, I'm here.
Oh, well, don't tell me that, because I'll have you on. What are you doing Friday? Well, hang on. Oh, no, I got a gig. Never mind. Hold on. Just stay on there for just a couple seconds. And everybody, thank you so much for being on tonight. It's, you know what, Timmy he's a gem. He's a true gem. And people don't understand when you have someone like him who you can talk to. He's almost to me like an unsung hero. He's one of the people that I look up to in this field. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. I've learned so much from, and he's just a great person. And, you know, if you can get someone who's as knowledgeable as him, as open as him, and as friendly as him, you've got a trifecta right there. You're not going to get anybody more qualified. And believe me, all you got to do is give him two beers and a pizza, and he'll be at your next bar mitzvah. Anyway, guys, well, you're listening to the Black Cat Lounge. I'm Tim Shaw. Where the elite meet next. Where else? At a dumpster transfer station. See you next Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Good night.